million daffodils in memory of the children who perished in the Holocaust, and also for those children who are still facing humanitarian crises today. We'll be planting 250 daffodils here today at the Anne Frank Center, and each of you are going to have the opportunity to plant some flowers in the garden. Before we have some other speakers tonight, there's a few people that I would like to thank for helping make this event possible. First, a big thank you goes out to Dr. Doyle Stevick. Thank you, Dr. Stevick, for allowing us to use this spectacular space for such a meaningful purpose. I would also like to thank Emily Jones, who is the landscape architect and project manager who will help us plant the daffodil bulbs. Next, I would like to thank Alex and Jerry from the Daily Gamecock and Brianna from Garnet and Black for coming to help capture this event. We're so grateful to have you both here. A special thank you goes out to Michael Tucker and his Chick-fil-A in Lexington for helping provide us meals for tonight. Another group that deserves acknowledgement is all of you for coming. We're so proud to have many of our Hillel students joining us tonight, along with community members from the Columbia Jewish Federation and other family, friends, and students from the University of South Carolina. This community-wide event would not be a success without you all, so thank you again for coming tonight. Finally, a very important recognition goes out to our Hillel staff. Anna, even though you're not officially on our Hillel staff, we are very appreciative of all the support that you give us. Your enthusiasm for the growth of Hillel is amazing, and I look forward to getting to know you better as the years go on. Cheryl, thank you for being an amazing advisor. The work that you do for us is unmatched, and we would not be having this event today without you. To my fellow student leaders, the biggest thank you goes out to all of you. Jordan and Jenna, thank you for all of your hard work for our board this semester. As our junior and sophomore representatives, all of your help in putting together these events and bringing them to life is truly special. I am so appreciative of you both taking the time to serve on our board and further the growth of Jewish life on campus. Haley, you are the best vice president of communications and media that I could ask for. Every time I ask you to do something, you're always on top of it. Your flyer designs are fantastic and welcoming, and you've been a crucial member of our core group. Thank you for all the time and effort that you put into Hillel. And Mary, our vice president of religious events and cultural programming. There is nobody that can lead a Shabbat service like you. Thank you for leading the charge in promoting Judaism at UofSC. Your work for the Anne Frank Center is remarkable, and I am proud to work on the board of Hillel with you. With all of that being said, I would like to welcome to the podium our Vice President of Religious Events and Cultural Programming, Mary McElmeen.
Madeline just gave me such an amazing introduction. I can like skip the first paragraph of this speech. But yes, my name is Mary, and I am in fact the Religious Events and Cultural Programming Chair for Hillel at USC. I'm so grateful to have the support of Hillel, the Columbia Jewish Federation, UofSC, and the Anne Frank Center in bringing this project here. I actually did this project for the first time many years ago at my synagogue back in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't remember the daffodils popping up, but what I do remember is the somber yet hopeful air that surrounded me and my peers as we planted the bulbs. 1.5 million children. Wow. It's a number that is hard to imagine. How does planting 250 bulbs help? It's a big number, but it doesn't make the tiniest dent in 1.5 million. It would take us 4 years to plant 1,000 and 40 years to plant 10,000. But the Daffodil Project's goal was not to plant all 1.5 million in a day. This is a project that is meant to take time, to make us remember and mourn the lives lost for years to come, and to teach our children about a generation of people that they will never meet. This is where that feeling of somberness came from. But yet, there is still hope. Hope that one person would leave the event and start it somewhere else. The hope that someone was touched enough to look into humanitarian crises affecting children now. And it has worked. So far, 650,000 bulbs have been planted around the world. Anne Frank, one of the children we are planting flowers for today, once said, "Where there is hope, there is life." It fills us with fresh courage and makes us strong again. I can't describe to you how hopeful, pleased, and honored I am to look out and see the faces of people who are working to keep the memories of those lost alive. And I hope while we plant, we can all take something unique from this experience. These flowers will bring new life, but will never replace those lost. However, my hope is that they will serve as a sign to remember the past and a warning not to repeat it ever again. We hope to see you here as the flowers grow this spring and in years to come. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Doyle Stevick, the man behind the Anne Frank House here.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you all for being here today. We're so grateful to have this opportunity here and to have this daffodil planting. This is a profoundly meaningful thing, and I can't help but think how pleased Otto Frank would be if he could have seen this happen. When you deal with this work day after day, it's gazing into the abyss, and the darkness can be so overwhelming. That ability to find some kind of hope is just so urgent, and we're fortunate to have Anne Frank's words to provide us some of that hope. I think she's sometimes treated maybe as too happy-go-lucky or maybe naive in the play and the film. The play famously finishes with her words that she truly believes people are good at heart. We all wonder if she could have kept believing that after the arrest with what she experienced. But when you read that whole passage, it's stunning because she says, "I can't build my life on a foundation of chaos. Despite it all, I truly believe people are good at heart." And when she said despite it all, that includes gas chambers. She knew what was happening. She knew friends were being murdered. And she was determined not to cave into despair, to have hope in the darkest time that had been known at that point. And I marvel at that every day that I'm here. So I'm so pleased to honor her, to honor the children. When we think about these staggering numbers, 1.5 million children, it's one of those things I don't know that we can ever understand. How does it become possible for a society to think it's a good thing and necessary to murder children? And yet that's the reality that we're confronted with. But we have two duties. One is to understand what went wrong with the perpetrators, and another is to honor the humanity of those who suffered at their hands. And if there's one thing Anne offers us, it's the ability to recognize our universal humanity, our common humanity, as a foundation for appreciating and working through our differences. Otto Frank said, our mission isn't just to have a mausoleum to the victims, but rather to have a youth network, an educational partnership where young people can go together, come together, talk to one another, really listen to one another, and get to know and understand one another. That's an incredible thing to hold on to have after what Otto endured, the loss he suffered, what Anne knew was happening around her. So I try to honor that every day, and I hope we all can. I don't see what choice we have but to believe that, because the alternative's too disturbing to consider. So in that spirit, we are grateful to have you here today and to have this planting. When you think about children's lives lost, you think about a book with one chapter written and an uncompleted volume. And then you think a child's life is a volume by itself, as Anne's diary was. Children have their own voices, they have things to say, they're full human beings just on their own. And I think part of what this Daffodil Project does is help remind us of that. So we're so grateful for the way we've been embraced here in the community, and thank you for being here. Let me turn it back for what happens next. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Steven. Next, I would like to introduce Anna Sazonov. Anna is the Executive Director at the Jewish Federation of Columbia. She recently started this position and came from the Emory Hillel. Like I mentioned earlier, Anna has been so kind and supportive for Hillel, and I'm honored to invite her to speak.
Wow. First of all, thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout. And I see so many young people sitting here and taking this moment to remember the children. Today I want to tell you a story about a kid. His name is Danny. Danny was born in 1928, back there, what used to be called the Soviet Union. He was raised as a normal Ukrainian kid, but Danny was different. Danny had some Jewish blood. All of this was covered because his mom remarried to a non-Jewish fella. This non-Jewish fella was part of the Red Army, and he was fighting the Nazis. In 1940, when the Nazis were coming closer and closer to their homes, his father, that was back then sitting in the hospital after he got injured by the Nazis, ran away from the hospitals and said, I have to save my family, because they're Jewish and they're not going to survive it. So he took his wife, his new son, and he moved them to evacuation area. When Danny had a bar mitzvah, he had to be the responsible adult of the community. He was only 13 when he walked 16 miles in order to get some food. He walked those 16 miles in the middle of a blizzard, one step at a time, in order to bring some food to his mom, sister, and the rest of the community. The only thing that saved him in that moment was a small hole in the big bag that he was carrying. From that hole, he could pick a little bit of the dry peas that he was carrying on his back. After 16 miles that he walked in the blizzard, he got back to his family and had the opportunity to feed them all. This kid eventually survived the Holocaust, survived discrimination, anti-Semitism, and this kid grew a family, an amazing family that survived everything. And this family fulfilled their Jewish identity, and his family made it to the promised land, made it to Israel. In Israel, Danny was a free Jew. That was the only place that he felt comfortable to put yarmulke, go to the synagogue and pray, and be a proud Jew. The story could be different. The story could be totally written in the pages of history, and Danny could be represented by one of those daffodils that we're going to plant today. And I'm so grateful and happy, and thank God that the story ended up to be positive, because Danny is my grandfather. Today, I'm standing in front of you as a community leader. I'm representing the Jewish Federation of Colombia, an organization that supports students that walk proudly on campus and saying, I'm a Jew, I'm a proud Jew, and I'm going to keep doing this. An organization that puts fighting anti-Semitism as one of its goals. An organization that proudly say, we support our people at home in Israel and around the world. I'm so grateful to see all your faces, the future Jewish leaders of our country and the world. I'm here to tell you all that Federation is going to support you and keep supporting you, because you are our future. I want to thank you all for coming and taking this afternoon, being all together as a community, supporting each other, and remembering those children that couldn't make it. My grandfather made it, but some of them didn't. And we need to keep this in our memories, and we need to share those stories. Help us share their story, their names. Thank you again for coming. Thank you again for being an amazing community.
Anna, thank you for sharing that powerful story with us. I would next like to welcome Charlotte Pollock to speak. Charlotte is currently a junior here at the University of South Carolina, studying biochemistry and molecular biology. She is a vibrant student at Hillel, and I am privileged to call her my friend.
Hi, like Madeline said, my name is Charlotte, and I'm a newer member here at Hillel. Like it has for many people, the pandemic put me in a period of serious reflection about my identity, and one big part of that is what it meant for me to be Jewish. I think that it was that reflection that prompted me to join Hillel, hoping to find some sort of an answer to that question of identity. Between Shabbat game nights and the High Holy Days, Hillel has provided much more than just religious opportunities. It has also offered a community. And I think that's how I realized that we weren't just Jewish because we have Jewish last names and we throw Yiddish words into our conversations. We are Jewish because of this community that wraps all around the world, carrying on a legacy in small and continued mitzvot. We break bread on Fridays and we fast on Yom Kippur. And just as devoutly as these, we also honor the living memory, and not just the number, of the millions of brothers and sisters who fasted and broke bread like we do, and who lost their lives because of it. We remind ourselves that they are not a statistic. We keep hearing about 1.5 million, and that's a huge number and a profound number, and yet they were so much more than that. They are individuals who lived, who grew, and who brought beauty into the world, like the flowers we plant and the people we hope to become. So thank you for being here and honoring that memory and that identity with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much to everyone who just came up here and shared their stories and their thoughts. Again, I'm so grateful for all of you guys being here. We're about to move into the actual planting portion of this event. We have meals for those who RSVP'd before Monday and chose to sign up for a meal, which you can get in the back in that table over there. If you didn't sign up for a meal and you're planning on leaving early, or you have somewhere you need to be next, we're going to take a group of a few of y'all up to the front and show y'all how to plant. Everyone else can just mingle, and we'll slowly be filtering groups in and out to plant over at the front. Is there anything else?
Yeah, you're good.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.